Yeah, thank you, Mayor, members of the council, public. So I understand there's a lot of public interest on this closed session. So I did just want to make sure it was clear that the public comment period being offered right now is for the closed session. So the comments will be for items on the closed session. The public comment for the regular open session later on at 6 p.m. is going to be limited to items that are not on the agenda. So that means that because we've got litigations items on this agenda, now is the time to discuss or make your comments and not at the later public comment period. Thank you.
Very well. All right, Madam City Clerk, let's call the first member of our public.
Okay, we have 20 people registered. So the first speaker is Father Dennis Kriz, and then on deck would be Pastor Jason Phillips and Deborah.
We all got here early. Okay, I'm here. Honestly, with this flag as a prop, and with a nice little dove on it, and it was made by a mother of one of our Latino families at our parish. Yeah, to speak in support of the city joining the Perdomo versus Noem court case. The flag idea came as we in the interfaith community here in Fullerton began to organize a peaceful expression of solidarity toward our immigrant community. One of the ideas that we had at the time was to organize a car caravan that would have passed through the city beginning at St. Philip and Easy, passing by Grace International Church, the Fullerton Islamic Center, St. Mary's, the various Protestant churches, including the First Christian Church, First Methodist Church, First Lutheran Church, go up to St. Andrew's Episcopal, St. Juliano's Temple Batikva, and end at Fullerton EV free. It was beautiful. One day maybe it'd be nice to walk it the other way. but it was a car caravan, and that was the idea with the flag. Yeah, to put it in and it's paper and all that. It's adorable, and but it also, we chose not to do that because it would have isolated in our cars. But the idea was there, and it was to promote something peaceful. And this mother of 3 teens, she herself an immigrant with 3 children, rolling their eyes American. One would change the color of her hair quite often, from orange to purple to gray, back to orange again. And though they were all very proud of their Latino and Catholic roots, they all helped with our posadas, our festival of saints. Our Latino community doesn't particularly like Halloween. It's interesting. And they prayed the rosaries that they made, and I helped them with that actually in our youth group, and then prayed it on the beach a few years back. Their energetic mother is about as sweet as can be. Trying to figure out a unifying and peaceful and not threatening in any way car caravan, Laura then came up with this idea. And then this is my point. We have a lot of lovely people in this city, from adorable and adored smiling grandmas to energetic parents, building things, selling things, cleaning things with a clipboard in hand behind a computer, running things, to their eye rolling and every other week hairstyle and headscarf changing teenagers, to smaller kids trying to figure out how to kick either a soccer ball or a baseball. All of them are here. Finally, and it is important that
Next speaker is Pastor Phillips, followed by Deborah, and then Monica Mendoza.
Fullerton for over 30 years, with my wife, who's a teacher here at Valencia Park for almost as long. And I just really want to invite you to live into a vision for our city where Fullerton is our home, and it's a place of belonging for all of our immigrant neighbors. Home is where you're known, where your story matters, where your presence is not just tolerated, but cherished. It means safety, hope. It means that home is a place of healing and flourishing. But too many of our neighbors do not experience this kind of home. Instead of safety, they live in terror of masked agents who appear without warning. Instead of trust, they live with the dread that any knock on the door could mean separation, detention, or deportation. My wife's students are afraid that their parents or family members may not be home when they get out of school. They're afraid that agents will come to the school. And this is not the Fullerton we long for. This is why Perdomo versus Noem matters. It's not only about law, it's about love. It's about protecting our civil rights, rebuilding trust, and saying no to fear and yes to belonging. I know that we have some council members here that already support this, and I thank you guys so much for putting this on the agenda, and I invite all of our council to live into a vision of our city where we stand alongside all of our neighbors and say that you matter, that we see you and you're not alone. And so Fullerton has the chance to say something tonight, to say clearly, in our home, no one is hidden behind a mask, no family is disposable, and every neighbor is valued. Because Fullerton is our home, and it's a place of belonging for all our immigrant neighbors. Thank you. And I ask you just to reflect on what home is for you, and what belonging means to you, and the moments that you have felt othered, and unseen, and unheard, like you didn't matter. And then stand alongside those who feel that right now. Thank you.
Next speaker is Deborah, followed by Monica Mendoza, and then Robert W.
Good afternoon. My name is Debbie Langenbacher. I'm a 25-year resident of Fullerton, and I'm here with congregants from the Unitarian Universalist congregation in Fullerton. As Unitarian Universalists, our first principle is the inherent worth and dignity of all people. This inherent worth and dignity of all people includes immigrants among us, regardless of their status, and everybody in this room, including all of you on the council. We support Fullerton in joining our sister cities of Anaheim, Santa Ana, Costa Mesa, and others in signing on to the Perdomo versus Noem lawsuit, recognizing that abduction of people believed to be immigrants based on their appearance by ICE is not justice. It is our understanding that there is no direct fiscal impact for Fullerton. Limiting the overreach of ICE in our city would benefit each of our districts. District 1 includes a large Asian population who are also targets of ICE. Last week in the news, there was a story of a young Korean woman in New York, here legally, but was abducted by ICE and held in detention. Only with extraordinary efforts was she returned to her family. In District 2, there was an ICE raid last month at a car wash. Our small businesses throughout Fullerton are at risk. They're vulnerable. In District 3, Cal State University Fullerton was the first Dreamer Resource Center in the state for students. In Districts 4 and 5 include many of our Latino neighbors. They are being targeted the most by ICE in recent weeks. School has just started in Fullerton, but families are fearful to send their children to school because of the threat of family separation due to ICE activity. Clearly, support for this litigation, Perdomo versus Noem, benefits everyone in Fullerton. We want ICE out of our city and respect for the inherent worth and dignity of all who call Fullerton their home. Thank you.
Next speaker is Monica Mendoza, followed by Robert W. and Xavier Nunez Sundara.
Good afternoon. My name is Monica Mendoza. I'm a Fullerton resident for almost over 25 years. My kids grew up in this area, and it's very frightening to see the things that are going on. Especially like the other day, I saw this girl the age of my daughters, and I was like, upset, thinking that that could be one of my daughters. I just saw it, and I just lost it. I just started crying and thinking that all the kids and all the people, it's part of our family, even though we don't know them. We have to take care of each other, and it's sad to see that I go to this community center. There's a lot of people that go there for different activities. Now, if 100 people were going, it's less than 50 people for activities, for food distribution, and a lot of things. So there's people that don't want to go out because they're afraid. And I know people, they're close to me, that they're getting sick. They're getting like, I don't know what in their bodies, because they don't want their kids out on the street thinking that they're going to get taken away. So what we do is taking food to their houses, because they don't want to come out, and they don't want to even open the door to us. We have to tell them who we are, and that's the only way they could open the door and get their groceries or medications or anything like that. So it's just concerned about all this, that you guys could help us in that, against all this that's going on, against the families, and it needs to stop. We are the salt of this community and of the city, that we need to help each other, and this is just so sad to see that they're not doing what they're supposed to do and respect people, and separating families. That it's not good for anyone. And well, thank you very much.
Next speaker is Robert W., followed by Xavier and then Peyton Bauman.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to urge the council to sign on to the lawsuit of Perdomo versus Noem. This class action lawsuit is vital to ongoing efforts to protect our immigrant community. The lawsuit seeks to stop the unconstitutional violations of the Fourth Amendment by ICE agents and the Department of Homeland Security. As of the 2020 census, more than a third of Fullerton residents identified as Hispanic or Latino. That means that 1 in 3 people living in this city is at risk of being racially profiled by their own government every time they step outside. I guess more specifically to the point tonight, I want to address the fact that this is going to be discussed in a closed session. I understand that the council has the authority and the right to have this discussion in a closed session, but it's my understanding of the California Government Code that there's nothing that mandates that it must be discussed in a closed session. In fact, in 2018, the council considered a very similar item when they wanted to sign on to a Department of Justice class action lawsuit against California sanctuary city laws. I understand none of you were on council at that time, but it's also my understanding that discussions went pretty late and the public came out to speak out against it. despite the council's intention to sign on to that lawsuit. So, as I said, 7 years ago, the community spoke out against that lawsuit after a long night of public comment. And this matter continues to be of vital public interest, and the public deserves to have their voices heard, regardless of whether the council wants to listen. In 2018, our residents emphatically sided with our immigrant community. It appears that the council, that members that chose to have this discussion in a closed session are intent at protecting themselves perhaps from political repercussions of having that discussion seen and heard by the public. This is ultimately a question of how we treat our neighbors. Each of you has been given a position of authority and power, and with that authority comes a genuine moral responsibility. You have an obligation to protect your constituents. Signing on to Perdomo versus Noem is a direct step in protecting a third of this city from unconstitutional discrimination from their own government. If you can't sign on to that, I don't believe that any of you has any business anywhere near a position of authority. If you're content to see people in this community targeted by the federal government based on the color of their skin, or the language they're speaking, or the job that they have, then you can at least put your name next to your vote. Thank you.
Next speaker is Xavier, followed by Peyton Bauman, and then Julian Sewer.
Hi, my name is Xavier Nunez-Sandara. I'm here on behalf of Cal State Fullerton's College Democrat chapter to urge the city of Fullerton to sign on to Perdomo versus Noem. I'm not going to speak too much. People who are far more eloquent than me have already spoken and will be speaking later tonight with many good points and sound logic. Rather, all I'm going to say here is to remind the council who exactly is being stolen from our streets. These are not strangers. These are our brothers and sisters here in Fullerton. They are not our enemies. They are our family and friends. Signing on to this lawsuit would say that you are committed to representing your constituents, all of them, and to defending their rights and their dignity as human beings. So please sign on to this lawsuit and protect our community. Thank you.
Next speaker is Peyton, followed by Julian, and then Jennifer Garcia.
Hi, my name is Peyton, and I'm a student here at Fullerton College. And I'm here tonight to urge the City Council to take a stand to support the case Perdomo versus Noem. As a student, I have seen firsthand how these policies affect my peers. Many of my classmates should be focusing on getting their education, not worrying about whether their families or themselves might be targeted on their way to class. No student should have to go to school scared. Fullerton College prides itself on being welcoming, inclusive, institutional, and our city should reflect those same values. Thank you.
Next speaker is Julian, followed by Jennifer Garcia, and then Laura Cook.
Hello, City Council. My name is Julian, and I live in Fullerton, as I'm sure many other people do as well. This summer, as we've seen ICE patrolling and harassing our city, there have been reports of harassment and false accusations by ICE within Orange County. This item is rightfully on the agenda as it is a pressing issue within our community. It is appalling that this issue is not in open session. Why do you not vote on this in open session? Are you too scared to vote against this item because you'll be criticized? If so, you are on the wrong side. You have said you will protect this community, so signing on to this lawsuit does just that. No matter the ruling of the item, your inability to vote in front of the public is a gross act of intransparency. Thank you.
Next speaker is Jennifer Garcia, followed by Laura Cook, and then Vanessa Estrella.
My name is Pastor Jennifer Garcia. My pronouns are she, her. I serve as the pastor of First Lutheran Church on Lemon and Wilshire, which is in District 5. I currently live in La Mirada, but I grew up in Fullerton in District 4, where my parents still live. I lived in District 1 for a while. I graduated from Fullerton High School, which is in District 2, and my mom and my spouse both graduated from Cal State Fullerton, which is in District 3. I still very much consider Fullerton my home. The Fullerton I know and love is a place of belonging for everyone. Fullerton has a rich arts community. And the residents, including immigrants of all documentation statuses, are part of the mosaic, much like these beautiful mosaics on your walls, that brings life and vibrancy to the Fullerton community. When anyone in our community is afraid, vulnerable, or marginalized, it dims the vibrancy of the Fullerton community. Right now, our immigrant neighbors are being targeted. People are afraid to go to their workplaces, their schools, and even their local grocery stores. People are afraid of getting taken by masked, unaccountable federal agents. Today, honored council members, you have the opportunity to make all of us feel like we belong by joining the Perdomo v. Noem lawsuit. By supporting our immigrant neighbors, you are making Fullerton realize its identity as a place of belonging for all our immigrant neighbors, and therefore as a place of belonging for everyone. I urge you as our city council to sign on to Perdomo v. Noem. The mosaic of our community is only whole when every neighbor belongs. Fullerton is our home. Thank you so much for your time.
Next speaker, Laura Cook, followed by Vanessa Estrella and Patty Hanzo.
Hello, I'm Laura Manchester Cook, and I've lived in Fullerton District 5 for more than 5 years. I'm a local PTA member, a small business owner, and my spouse has taught at Fullerton College for nearly a decade. I'm here tonight because in recent months, ICE and DHS agents have been unlawfully kidnapping our neighbors, often in masks, often refusing to show a warrant, and I want to be clear about what that means for all of us here in Fullerton, even myself and my family. In the same city where we celebrate bike parades and town music days and small town charm, families are now afraid to leave their homes for school, for work, for the grocery store, for the doctor. They're afraid they'll be torn away from their lives and locked in detention camps. Because of this, many kids in our community that spent this summer in lockdown conditions, you know, the phase of the pandemic when bored in the house was trending online, that's how they spent their summer, instead of at the park or reading at the library. Some people have lost days or weeks of income. Some have lost their jobs, some that I personally know. Support organizations and mutual aid groups are stretched to the breaking point, scrambling to provide food, medical care, and legal support to these families. I want to share one story. A few weeks ago, a close friend of mine called me in a panic because ICE was at her cousin's workplace here in Fullerton, and I lived only 4 minutes away. She was scrambling to get her baby and her 6-year-old into the car and get over there to help. I said, no, I got this. I was about to get on a work Zoom, but I canceled it and ran out the door with dripping wet hair because I'd just gotten out of the shower. My friends met me there, and we all spent the next hour, hour and a half, making sure that the people that worked at this location, this small business here in Fullerton, could leave their shift, walk to their cars, and make it home to their families safely. That's just one story, and we don't get to choose when the calls come in, those of us who are part of rapid response and taking care of our neighbors. We drop everything, work, kids, daily life, because our neighbors are in danger and they're afraid, and we want to help them feel safe. This is not the American dream. This is not freedom for all. And it's certainly not upholding the values of the education community as Fullerton claims to be. Since I know, though, from past meetings that City Council's main concern is typically budget, let's talk dollars. Immigrants are taxpayers. They work at our local businesses. They shop at our local stores. They eat in our restaurants and enrich the, quote, abundant cultural, educational, and entertainment resources that Fullerton boasts about on its website. When people are kidnapped off our streets, businesses lose employees, shops lose customers, and our local economy suffers. Joining this lawsuit is urgent. It's urgent because it's not just about today, it's about keeping Fullerton safe and prosperous for generations to come. So I urge you to sign on to Perdomo versus Noem, pass an ordinance requiring agents to identify themselves, wear cameras, and remove masks, and allocate funding for mutual aid and legal aid for our neighbors. If your priority is human
Next speaker is Laura Cook, followed by Vanessa, and then Patty Hanzo.
Good evening. My name is Vanessa Estrella, and I have been a Fullerton resident for over 20 years. Fullerton is more than just a city. It is our home. It's where families from all walks of life work hard, raise children, and contribute to the culture that makes our community unique. For many of our immigrants, our immigrant neighbors, Fullerton is where they've built their lives. And yet today, they live under the constant fear of raids, discrimination, and deportation. As a Fullerton School District trustee, I see the impact of this fear every single day. This year, we began school with at least 13 families who have reported that they already left the United States entirely. These are children who no longer walk into our classrooms, children who should be there, learning, laughing, and growing with their peers. Over the summer, when ICE raids intensified, families were too afraid to send their children to summer school or even go to the grocery store. Our district had to step in alongside faith organizations, mutual aid groups, and nonprofits to bring food and necessities to their homes. Children told me they were afraid their parents might not be home when they returned. Imagine a child carrying that kind of fear. This is not an isolated issue. Countywide, there are about 200,000 undocumented residents in Orange County, most of whom have lived here for more than a decade. A vast majority are raising U.S. children and contributing to our economy. In fact, immigrants in Orange County contribute over $37 billion annually in spending power and pay billions in state and local taxes. And yet, according to the Deportation Data Project, 92% of these detained have no violent criminal convictions. These are not dangerous people. These are families, mothers, fathers, and children. When they are threatened, we don't just lose neighbors. We lose the stability in our schools, the strength of our economy, and the trust that makes us the great Fullerton community that we are. That's why I'm urging you tonight to use your power as city council members to join cities across the country in supporting the federal lawsuit Perdomo versus Noem, which challenges unconstitutional and unaccountable enforcement practices by ICE. We don't want people in our community to be stopped, questioned, or detained by ICE just because of the color of their skin. That kind of racial profiling has no place anywhere, especially Fullerton. This action is more than policy. This is about who we are as Fullerton, a city that chooses compassion over fear and dignity over division, a city that tells every child, no matter where their parents were born, you belong here, you are safe, and your future matters. Thank you.
Next speaker, Patricia Hanzo, followed by Vanessa Stricker, and then Matthew Stricker.
Hello, I am a resident of Fullerton. We're a family of 3, and we want the city of Fullerton to join with other cities or do a separate lawsuit against the federal agencies under Christy Noem. The Department of Justice houses ICE and Homeland Security. Please also include other departments which are sharing information about our residents, about us, our names, our home addresses, our records, like the Department of Health and Human Services. All these federal agencies should follow the actual law. So please approve a lawsuit from the city of Fullerton demanding that they follow the actual law and not conduct random actions using racial profiling, unorthodox tactics, brutal force, or the tackling down of our residents. The city must denounce, including the city manager and our police department and our fire department and the lawyer. The city must denounce the abuse of power by the federal government and demand law and order so that our communities, parks, city libraries, streets, homes, schools, churches, and both small and medium-sized businesses can be safe and thrive. You should mitigate the harm. Inaction is unacceptable. Bending the knee goes against following civil rights, due process, the Declaration of Independence, and the U.S. Constitution. Residents need transparency, their Miranda rights, and that a warrant be shown when confronted by law enforcement at all levels of government. If we expect our PD to do that, we should expect it from the federal government and the state. Please direct the city manager, our city contracted lobby firm, and legal counsel to immediately sign on to this legal action. If you don't want to do that, initiate a separate lawsuit, but you have to act. As a city, please request that the federal government abide by laws in our state.
and in our cities. Residents of Fullerton must call and regularly demand that our city manager and council members show that they have a spine, take legal action, request that our city stand up against abuse of power, unlawful searches, physical violence, and unnecessary action. Everyone watching tonight, please denounce the discriminatory practices and policies and directives from federal agencies and this awful White House. Please be strong. We are with you. We are with immigrants. Migration is normal. Thank you.
Next speaker, Vanessa Stricker, followed by Matthew Stricker, and then Gaston.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Stricker. For the past 20 years, I've been part of a Latino immigrant community here in Fullerton. I've lived, worked, and raised my family in this neighborhood. My neighbors had no reason to trust me when I moved in. I don't look like them or sound like them. I come from a different place. I was a stranger to them. But they welcomed me into their community and their homes. They've invited me to quinceañeras and graduations. They fed me birria, pupusas, and tamales. They've offered me aguas frescas and champurrado. They showered me with gifts when I was pregnant with my daughter. They've babysat my kids. They've called me family. These are the people who are being targeted by the immigration raids. The administration wants you to believe that they're detaining and deporting dangerous criminals, but we know that the vast majority of people who are being rounded up, abducted from the streets, and torn from their families are people with no criminal record, who simply want to have a chance at life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness like the rest of us. They are people who work hard and give generously. They make our communities better and more beautiful with their love, wisdom, and creativity. My immigrant neighbors are scared right now. They're faced with a choice to risk deportation if they go to work or risk food and housing insecurity if they stay home. They have known what it's like to hide in the shadows for years, but what's happening right now is a new level of threat. These immigration raids do not make our community safer. They do not make America greater. They only serve to instill fear, to stir up division, and to dehumanize people made in the image of God. They are ripping families and our community apart. They are creating chaos and instability for the systems that support us all. I ask you to stand with our immigrant neighbors by joining the lawsuit Perdomo versus Noem. Let us join with cities around Orange County and around the nation to declare that all our neighbors are worthy of dignity, safety, and inclusion. Thank you.
Next speaker is Matthew Stricker, followed by Gaston, and then Megan Coe.
My name is Matthew. Thank you for the opportunity to share, council members. I've called Fullerton home for over 30 years. I've spent half of those years, nearly 15, residing in one of Fullerton's immigrant communities. In that time, I experienced a community of people who welcomed my family and I into their neighborhood with open arms. As a person who, quite frankly, looks like the people who oppress my friends and neighbors in the immigrant community, my neighbors consistently showered my family with kindness, cooked food for us, invited us into celebrations like birthdays, weddings, and quinceañeras, offered gifts when we had babies, and were the primary friends who we trusted to watch our kids when we needed babysitters. My point is that my immigrant neighbors, most of whom came to our country from countries south of our southern border, are not the criminals that the current administration wrongfully and harmfully portrays them to be. They're hardworking, dedicated, and important members of our society that help to make Fullerton what it is. A beautiful community of people from all over the world that create an atmosphere of inclusivity and cultural diversity that make us all better, more accepting, and more loving people. It breaks my heart that I feel the need to speak up in an effort to validate or even justify the very existence of actual human beings in our presence, especially in a country that's supposed to be a shining example of freedom and liberty. That's why I'm here today, to ask the council to join cities across the country in supporting the federal lawsuit, Perdomo versus Noem. Our immigrant friends are scared. You are the elected city council. We count on you to keep all Fullertonians safe, no matter what we look like or where we come from. The constitutional protections that are being purposefully violated by the current administration have no place in our city. Protections, by the way, that are for all who reside in the United States. Please protect our friends and neighbors. Fear of our own government has no place in Fullerton.
Next speaker, Gaston, followed by Megan Coe, and then Elliot Chung.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, I'm hoping that you will make a statement today by participating in or supporting the legal action against these ICE raids, which have done nothing for public safety and have only served to destroy lives, separate families, and cause fear and trauma in our own Fullerton community. These are our neighbors. The argument for law and order in these so-called enforcement efforts are dripping with hypocrisy. You don't have undocumented workers without American employers willing to hire them. 11 million workers. We as a society are complicit in this. We are equally culpable in breaking these immigration laws. Why? Because we are happy to exploit this low-cost labor. And now, after decades, we have this attack of righteous indignation. This is yet another facet of cruel and racist federal policies. Of course, we understand that you don't have the power as the Fullerton City Council to halt ICE raids, but you can lend your voice and you can stand with your residents and you can show that you represent all of them, not just the ones that look like you or go to your same church. Consider this. We have had no comprehensive immigration reform for 40 years. Think about how much has changed in 4 decades. Our country has refused time and again to end this sham by legalizing these folks. But that didn't stop American businesses from hiring and giving immigrants bank accounts and insurance policies because, hey, they're customers and this is America. Many immigrants have paid taxes into Social Security for years, but they will never receive those benefits. And now we have these ICE raids, which a federal judge has deemed illegal. That hasn't stopped warrantless arrests. It has accelerated them. I guess that part of law and order really isn't so important. These ICE raids are un-American, unconstitutional, and with every move and with every arrest, these ICE agents are violating laws they swore to uphold. They have disgraced themselves, the uniform, and the badge they wear. We need to speak up against it, and I'm asking you to do that tonight. Thank you.
Next speaker is Megan Coe, followed by Elliot Chung, and then Harry Langenbacher.
Good afternoon. My name is Megan Cho, and it's a pleasure to address the council today. I have lived in Fullerton for a total of 17 years. I currently reside in District 2, but the majority of my years I lived and worked in a predominantly immigrant neighborhood in District 5. I was married here, I'm part of One Life City Church here, and my children attend Fullerton Public Schools. Fullerton is my home, and Fullerton is our home. It's a place of belonging for all our immigrant neighbors. When I think about the way Fullerton is home, I recall a time shopping at Costco when a young Latino man behind the sample counter, handed my Korean husband a sample and greeted him in Korean. After smiling, my husband responded by greeting him in Spanish. It's little moments like these when folks experience being seen by one another and warmth is exchanged that I'm reminded of what makes Fullerton special. Living in an immigrant community in Fullerton, specifically during a time when I was young and single and away from family, taught me what it is, the gift to have and be a good neighbor. I had neighbors who passed lemons over the fence and shared tamales during the holidays. I had neighbors who let me know they closed my garage after I left and forgot to. I had neighbors who even helped me get a new set of tires after I drove it over a nail in the alley. I attended birthday parties and quinceañeras and long-awaited green card arrival parties and becoming a citizen celebrations. Some of those memories will be my most cherished memories. Among this community, I learned people's stories, all of which are complex, filled with equal parts pain and hope, and I witnessed determination, resourcefulness, endless hours of hard work, generosity, and resilience. But I'm here because our community is only whole when every neighbor belongs, especially those who are most targeted and vulnerable. In the past few months, parts of our Fullerton community have been living in absolute terror, legitimately so. As a member of the local OC Rapid Response Network, I've witnessed firsthand how the actions of DHS and immigration enforcement is traumatizing our city. I recently met a fruit vendor in his 70s who smiled with pride, telling me about the journey of starting his own licensed business and which storefronts were the best for business over the years. But our conversation slowly turned sad as his eyes filled with tears, explaining that he is afraid to continue under the threat of ICE raids, who may profile him because of the work he does and the language he speaks. He's being careful, but he needs to work to support his granddaughter. I accompanied one of our Fullerton School District junior hires and her mom to the courthouse for an unexpectedly scheduled check-in. Although we didn't exchange a lot of words, it was clear that she was consumed by fear of the unknown of what might happen for her mother. This is what our Fullerton students are facing. As car washes became known targets for raids, I observed the hand car wash closest to my home roped off and closed for several days in a row. The fear has led to a decline in what was otherwise a thriving business, and now family providers are without work. I'm aware that the safety of people I love and care about has already been violated. I'm terrified of what might be in our future if we don't do something about it. Our children are watching to see how we'll respond. Will we speak up on their behalf?
Next speaker, Elliot Chung, followed by Harry Langenbacher, and then Nan.
Good evening, Mayor Fair Jung, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Elliot Chung. I am one of the pastors at One Life City Church. I am a proud Fullerton resident. My wife and I bought our first home here 12 years ago. All three of my children were born here. They all go to school here. And Lord willing, my wife and I will retire here and play pickleball at the new tennis courts in the tennis center and maybe walk along the Union Pacific Trail. Fullerton is our home. It is a place of belonging, including many immigrant families. Our neighbors, coworkers, and friends, often even our own relatives, they make our community stronger, more creative, more connected. They are a vital part of what makes Fullerton such a special place to live, and the new Loteria burger chain is an example of this. But right now, many of our immigrant neighbors, especially our Latino vecinos, hermanos, hermanas, are living in fear of unjust raids, discrimination, of deportation. This is not the kind of city we want to be known as. Fullerton should be a place where everyone feels safe and where everyone belongs. This is why I'm asking you to consider Perdomo versus Noem. This case challenges unconstitutional, unaccountable, and inhumane enforcement practices. By signing on, Fullerton would be standing side by side with our neighbors, affirming their commitment to affirming your commitment to their dignity, safety, and inclusion for everyone who calls our city home. But this sense of dignity, safety, and inclusion is under threat. And these are not criminals, right? These are everyday, normal, kind, respectful citizens, people created in the image of God and who are part of our wonderful community. My 8-year-old, at the time, 8-year-old daughter, she wrote a letter to one of her friends who's moving, or the family's self-deporting. She wrote this letter in tears asking, can you please write back when you get settled in? I remember earlier in the summer, I remember dropping off a bag of groceries to a family. They just live just around the corner from where my kids go to school. And she was so thankful. She just happened to be a believer, and we talk about about our faith together. There's a neighbor just across the street from our church. Their family has helped our church by hooking us up with party tents, tables, chairs, and man, bounce houses. Our kids love that stuff, you know? Their older daughter was taken by ICE over the summer. Now they're planning to move from our neighborhood. Stories like this remind me that this isn't just an issue happening elsewhere. It's happening here in our community, in our schools, and in our streets. Please join Perdomo versus Noem. I encourage the City Council to consider joining.
Next speaker is Harry Langenbacher, followed by Nan and Jody.
Good afternoon, council members. I'm Harry Langenbacher. I've lived in Fullerton for 25 years, and I'm here with my friends from the Unitarian Universalist Church, where I go to church, and other congregations and other people from other organizations that I know in Fullerton. to ask you to support the lawsuit, which is on agenda item number 1, because when police are allowed to act as if they are above the law, nothing good can come of it. It is the duty of the City Council to protect the residents of the city and to see for their well-being. I've heard many stories of illegal activities by ICE, such as warrantless arrest, targeting businesses, racial profiling, and I believe that most of the majority of the residents of Fullerton are not as white as I am, and they're all threatened with being terrorized by armed, masked agents. And I believe it's your duty to do what you can to stop this. Nothing good can come of it. It is making Fullerton a more dangerous place to live for everybody. Thank you.
I have 7 more speakers registered. Next speaker is Noem, followed by Judy, and then Eglith.
Good afternoon, members of the council. I'm Nan Harold, District 4, and there's already been a lot of words said about the impact of these ICE raids on our community from just a basic human level. I've seen it myself in the reduction of vibrancy in our communities, where I have friends who come in from out of town and they help to do laundry for people who need it at a laundromat, and they said that the numbers are down by like 50%, the number of people who will come out and obtain these services. And we know that a lot of them can't afford it, so we're starting to brainstorm ways like, how do we deliver or do their laundry for them? How do we support members of our community? So I really urge you to consider signing on to this lawsuit, Perdomo versus Noem, because it is a reflection of our city's values on how do we value the people that live within our cities? How do we value the people that, regardless of documentation status, are friends and neighbors? Furthermore, I think it does establish a precedent. If we're not willing to sign on a lawsuit that challenges what is very basically an egregious civil rights violation, and very blatantly a violation of the Fourth Amendment, I can't imagine anything more un-American than to violate the Constitution that way. And to vote in a way that does not support that, I think very much reflects on each of the council members' values as well as our city as a whole. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Next speaker is Jody, followed by Eglith, and then Bethany.
All right, good evening, Council. I'm Jody Vallejo. I'm a professor at USC. I'm also an expert in immigration, and I live here in Fullerton in District 2. And I wanted to provide some context and facts to you, real data about immigration, what's happening in our city and our state, and the broader issues that we are experiencing in the hopes to inform your discussion. And so one of the things that some of my fellow residents here have alluded to is that in this very moment, immigration is literally the litmus test for our democracy. Over the past several months, I have been on the ground. I've been conducting legal observations, gathering data, conducting research. I've been working alongside with schools and businesses that are reeling from these disruptions. And one of the things that you should be aware of, which is no surprise, but there's been a dramatic shift in enforcement with the current administration. So we've seen protections from sensitive locations like schools, courthouses, hospitals have been rescinded. One of the things I'm very concerned about that greatly affects our city more broadly is that the military is being turned inward on us through the excuse of immigration. This is an extreme violation of the Constitution, of the Posse Comitatus Act that prohibits the military from engaging in domestic law enforcement. This is something that our nation's founders warned against. And these unreachable daily quotas have led to really inhumane, illegal, and unconstitutional actions against our community members that violate the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. So as a result, immigration arrests have tripled. The detention regime in this country has reached historic highs, and 92% of those who have been detained, 92% have no violent criminal conviction. So locally, this creates deep challenges for us. As Trustee Estrella mentioned, 200,000 undocumented people live in California, most who've lived here 10 years or longer. They are connected to families, to American-born citizens, people who are legal permanent residents, and this just is not a Latino issue. 25% of undocumented people in California are Asian, and Asians are the fastest growing segment of the undocumented population, and they will be targeted next. They're already being targeted in Little Saigon. These actions we have seen this summer have left children without parents, business owners in turmoil. They have pushed children out of school and into the underground labor market in our city, which will greatly affect the fiscal security and future of our city. And the broader public does not agree with what is happening before our eyes. A July Gallup poll found that a record high 79% of Americans now say that immigration is good for the country, and 62% disapprove and are in opposition to Trump's enforcement measures. So the public is overwhelmingly on the side of democracy, and I hope that you are too.
Next speaker is Eglith, followed by Bethany Anderson and Janice Shipman.
Muy buenas tardes a todo el consejo, al alcalde y a todos los concejales. Mi nombre es Eglith Nunsi, soy una residente de la ciudad de aquí de Fullerton.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Good afternoon, council members. And my name is Ingrid Nunsi, and I'm a resident here in Fullerton.
Por muchos años, ¿verdad? He sido muy orgullosa de pertenecer a esta ciudad y a este hermoso país. Yo soy una inmigrante que vino a buscar el sueño americano, como tantas otras familias.
I have been here many years, and I'm a very proud resident of the city. I came to the city, I am Mexican, and I came to the city in search for a better dream, an American dream.
Actually, I am Bolivian. But I came here to looking for the American dream. Y hoy día me dirijo también a toda mi comunidad que habla español y que está siendo sindicada por hablar nuestro idioma nativo y sentirse con miedo de nuestra herencia latina.
Yes, perdón. I'm here. I'm also addressing my community, who are the Spanish-speaking community, who are also afraid of speaking their own language from their own countries.
And proud of their heritage. Estoy muy dolida con la situación que está pasando, con la persecución que está habiendo nuestra comunidad, familias que están siendo separadas, personas viviendo en mucho temor.
I am very saddened of the current situation. Our community is being persecuted, Our families are being separated. We are torn.
Y necesitamos de su apoyo. Necesitamos de ustedes como seres humanos, como padres, como vecinos, como oficiales elegidos, que por favor nos ayuden, que hagan valer y prevalecer la justicia y los valores de este país, que nos alberga a todos, que en un punto nuestras familias o nuestros ancestros han sido inmigrantes en este país.
And I'm here to ask for your support. You guys are human beings. We are all human beings. We have neighbors, and you guys are elected officials. I do ask for your support so we can prevail justice, so we can prevail into our values of this country, of this nation, and to protect us.
No, it's okay, I understand. Yo lo entiendo. Pero hoy día la importancia de hablar en español es de hacer valer de que nuestro idioma no es un pecado hablar dos idiomas. Hemos luchado para que en las escuelas se hablen dos idiomas, español y coreano, para hacer convalidar a nuestras comunidades que hacen fuerte esta ciudad.
And I'm speaking in Spanish because it's not a sin, it's not a crime to speak two languages. Especially we have fought for schools, so that two languages can be spoken, Spanish and Korean, so that we can validate our languages.
Y nuestra herencia, en our heritage. Por favor, les pedimos a ustedes que hagan lo que es justo para nuestra comunidad, que nuestra comunidad no sea perseguida, que nuestros niños no vivan en el miedo, nuestros niños que han pasado una pandemia y ahora tienen que atravesar el temor de perder y ser separados de sus padres.
It's okay. And I want to stress the fact that our community is being persecuted. We don't want our community to be persecuted. We don't want our children to be in fear of having their parents being taken away, especially after them having to live and overcome a pandemic.
And now they are fearful to be separated from their families and their parents. Por favor, les pedimos a ustedes que hagan justicia, que por favor apoyen esta acción legal de verdad de Perdomo versus Noem porque es lo justo. Apoyemos a toda nuestra comunidad a hacer justicia, a hacer valer los valores de este país que mucha gente arriesga su vida por llegar y para tener un futuro mejor.
And so I'm here to ask you once again to please be just, please take legal action. Perdomo versus Noem. We need our values to be defended. We cannot risk this. We cannot risk our future.
And I don't want to make more harder for our translator. Let me tell you something. We united, we stand. Divided, we're gonna fall. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you make the right decision to support the community that put you in this position. Please help us to do what is right. I go to you as a parent, as a human being. Please help us to do what is right for our community here in Fullerton and in all America. United States is the example for the rest of the world. Let's start here in Fullerton doing what is right. Thank you so much.
Next speaker is Bethany Anderson, followed by Janice, Ruthie, and Vixen, and that is it for registered. If anybody else would like to speak, now's your chance to line up on the wall opposite where I'm sitting, and we'll get you to the microphone.
Hello, my name is Bethany Anderson, and I'm here to urge you to sign on to the before-mentioned lawsuit. I've been a resident of Fullerton for over 20 years. I'm the executive director of Solidarity, a nonprofit embedded in some of the most vulnerable immigrant neighborhoods in our city. I'm a volunteer with the OC Rapid Response Network. Additionally, I am an expert and practitioner of immigration law. Due to my role in the community, I can stand here for much longer than 3 minutes to share about the beauty of the immigrant community in our city and also the terror caused by this administration and ICE activity here. I can tell you story after story of the contributions of immigrants to our city, our state, and our country. I can speak with authority about how this administration is decimating our legal immigration system and targeting non-criminals, children, students, and victims of domestic violence, the most vulnerable of the immigrant population. I can tell you about the times that we have organized and chased ICE out of our city, or the ways that we have cared for community members after their family has been disappeared. Many of us here can share these stories for hours and hours, and many have already done that tonight. But really, the one thing I want to add to this conversation is a call and a reminder of the significance of this moment. We all know, no matter what your opinion is, we all know that history will not reflect kindly on this season of our country. And my question to you is in 5, 10, 20 years from now, when these stories are written in our history books, and we remember the unlawful and terrible acts of our federal government, how will you feel? Will you feel pride because you did the right thing, or will you feel shame because you were complicit? Tonight, you have a choice to make, and I guarantee you that this choice matters. It matters because we will all have to live with the choices that we are making now and the way we are responding now for the rest of our lives. I urge you to join us on the right side of history. Leave a legacy of leadership by joining this lawsuit. And if that does not convince you, let me leave you with this, that I believe wholeheartedly. If we do not do all that we can to stop what is happening in our communities now, today it's people with brown skin that look like immigrants, and tomorrow it'll be you and I. Thank you.
Next speaker is Janet Chipman, followed by Ruthie, and then Vixen.
Hello, City Council. Sorry. Hello, members of the City Council. My name is Janet Shipman, and I was not planning on speaking today because, as you can tell, I'm really nervous, and this is really close to home. Not only because I'm a Hispanic, but because I too once was a very vulnerable immigrant in the U.S. Luckily for me, I don't have to worry about that anymore, but I still have neighbors, friends, and family members who do have to worry about that, who are hiding, who have anxiety attacks because of what's going on in our town. When I first started working here in Fullerton, I noticed what a beautiful town it was, how calm and peaceful it was, how clean it was, and this is where I wanted to raise my family. And yes, I did. We moved here. We purchased our home here 7 years ago. Both of my children were born here at St. Jude. They go to school. I loved that this was a town that was inclusive, a town that offered our children the chance to learn another language, such as Spanish, Korean, and many others. And I love how diverse it was. And that is what I loved about Fullerton. Unfortunately, I don't feel that way anymore. I feel scared, even though I have nothing to be scared about. But I'm brown. And in this climate, being brown is not safe anymore, unfortunately. So, sorry, I'm really nervous. But my question is this: why are our police officers having to follow certain rules, like identifying themselves, like wearing cameras so that everything they do and say is recorded, like having vehicles fully marked so that they are identified as to who they are? Why do they have those rules? I'm ignorant. You tell me why they have those rules, but these federal agents are out here with masks, with big guns, with no identification, with no warrants. They look like cartel members. Our town looked like they are in Guadalajara, cartel members rounding up and kidnapping our citizens in unmarked vehicles. So my question to you is, why do they get to have different rules in our town? Why are their rules different than the ones of our police officers here today? So please join this lawsuit and protect the members of our community. Thank you.
Next speaker, Ruthie Hanchett, then Vixen, then the unregistered folks, and then we'll get to the few hands that are up in Zoom. Ruthie, are you here? If not, Vixen?
What's that? Excuse me, Mayor?
Vixen is our last registered.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Ruthie Hanchett. I know many of you very well because I get to serve on the Fullerton Elementary School Board. And so I wanted to just bring some of my concerns specifically about our students and what we're seeing through the school board here in Fullerton. Since November, we've definitely seen changes that have really, the administration has brought significant trauma and hardships to our students at Fullerton School District and their families. We don't keep records or know exactly who is undocumented, which families or students, but what we see is an impact at every single school and in every single part of our city. This spring, we had a situation where an FSD mom dropped off her child at school in the morning, was surveilled and pulled over at our local McDonald's, and deported that very day. She didn't get to say goodbye to her children. They had to be picked up by someone else. And we rallied around them, but that's the kind of thing that will continue to happen right now in our schools and in our community. Over the summer, our Fullerton School District enrollment and attendance was down because families were afraid of ICE kidnappings. They were staying home as much as possible. And while most of us, I know my family was on summer vacations, enjoying the beach and the park and pools and time with friends, as we've heard, many families were sheltering in place. They were not leaving their homes because of the fear of deportation, of kidnapping and detention. I was at schools where kids told me about their fears of speaking Spanish as you've heard, a language that we teach on purpose because of the value of it. But instead, kids had concluded that it was dangerous to speak Spanish. I've personally, and many of us in this room, delivered groceries to families over the summer where families were not leaving their home because they were afraid of deportation. Parents were not working because of the fear of kidnapping. And with tears, moms told me about how hard it was to keep kids inside all summer long. How the tablet, the TV, the small space they were in really was not a good summer for their kids, and they couldn't wait for school to start. Our Fullerton School District responded as best we could. We delivered food, brought groceries, personal items to families. We saw in one day over 500 families stop to get food because there was great need here in Fullerton, because of families that were afraid to leave the homes and because they weren't working because of what's going on right now. It was affecting our businesses and their livelihoods. And we've just completed our first week of school. We're on day 2 of the second week, and we're seeing less students enrolled in our schools. As Trustee Estrella shared, we had at least 13 families tell us specifically that they left the United States over the summer, that we expected to see in our hallways. Over at least 229 students, less than we expected, just simply didn't show up for school last week. And we know that this summer of mass deportations was a part of that.
Our last speaker that's registered is Vixen. Vixen, are you here? There you go.
And thank you for the opportunity to allow me to speak. I'm a neighboring resident of Placentia, here to support my neighbors in Fullerton. I'm here tonight to ask that our city take a stand by joining the lawsuit against over the recent immigration raids. These raids have not only targeted undocumented individuals, they've disrupted families, terrified children, and injected fear into neighborhoods where people simply want to live, work, and raise their families in peace. Let's be clear. This isn't just about immigration. It's about how we treat human beings and whether our city believes in fairness and due process. Many of these raids have been carried out without proper warrants or legal transparency. They undermine the Constitution, especially the Fourth Amendment, and ignore the basic rights of the people they target. When families are afraid to report crimes, send their kids to school, or show up to work, we all lose. That kind of fear doesn't make our city safer. It makes it weaker, and it breaks down the trust between communities and local government. Fullerton has always been a city rooted in community and family values. But if we stay silent while federal agents carry out sweeping, sometimes unlawful actions, then we are complicit in that silence. Other cities across California have joined this lawsuit not to make a political statement, but to defend the rule of law. They understand that standing up to overreach, no matter who is in power, is part of protecting democracy. By joining this lawsuit, we tell our residents, you matter, your rights matter, your families matter, and we will not turn our backs on you for political convenience. This is not just a legal issue, it's a moral one, and decades from now, our children will ask what kind of city we were, whether we stood with fear or with justice. I urge this council, please join the lawsuit and let Fullerton be remembered, not for its silence, but for its courage. Thank you.
And our first speaker lined up, come on up to the microphone. Helen, come on up.
Helen Higgins, District 2, 27 plus years. I am in favor of Fullerton joining the ACLU class action lawsuit to end unlawful stops and arrests by ICE, and to protect rights to due process and access to counsel for people in immigration detention. Washington, D.C. politics is a complete mess. No one knows what will happen one day after another, and certainly not regarding immigration policy. 4 days ago, KABC News in LA reported ICE activities spotted just a few blocks away from 4 schools in the LA Unified School District. The City of Fullerton has an obligation to provide a safe and conducive environment at all of its educational institutions without students, teachers, or staff worrying about being detained and or taken away without due process. There's approximately 64,000 students that attend Fullerton's 3 major higher educational institutions, Cal State Fullerton, Fullerton College, and Hope International. The city's website contains the Fullerton Police Department's section on immigration enforcement. It includes points that we, as advocates for a just and fair immigration policy, are pursuing. I'm sure that Chief Radis and his department are doing their best under these chaotic and uncertain times. On that website, 3 of the 7 bullet points struck me as critical. Public safety is the primary concern of the FPD, not immigration. The FPD does not enforce federal law. The FPD is charged with keeping you and your family safe. We will continue to do so regardless of your immigration status, and we will continue to expend our resources protecting our community from anyone with ill intent. And how sad is it that we have to consider our federal officials with great ill intent. Anyway, to assure that our community is protected from federal immigration raids, Fullerton absolutely needs to join the ACLU lawsuit, or at least submit an amicus brief. Thank you.
Good afternoon, or I guess it's getting to be evening. My name's Linda Gardner, and I'm a Fullerton resident of over 60 years, and I live in District 1. In 2023, I visited the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library to see a special exhibit. It was called Auschwitz, Not Long Ago, Not Far Away. As you can imagine, it was disturbing and very emotional. Above the entrance, there was a banner that read, "It happened, therefore it can happen again." This is the core of what we have to say. It can happen, and it can happen everywhere. This is a quote from Primo Levi, an Auschwitz survivor. I read that in March of 2023. It was before masked men in unmarked clothing began kidnapping people off the street because of the color of their skin. This was before the "it" started happening, when people were sent to countries they had never been to and put in prisons with deplorable conditions. This was before the "it" that Primo Levi was speaking of that began happening in our country, in our city. Today would have been my father's birthday. He fought in Germany in World War II. He fought to protect us from what is happening now. You can take a stand against this totally un-American practice by joining in this lawsuit. Please vote yes. Please. Thank you.
Next speaker.
"82 years ago, my grandparents and my extended family were removed from their homes, lost their businesses, were rounded up, and incarcerated in what were called relocation centers, later known as internment camps. And I have seen in my own family and community how that event of just organized state violence impacted my family and community over multiple generations. And I can tell you that part of that pain has to do with the fact that nobody spoke up for them. Sure, there were individuals who supported them, took their stuff, knew that they were good people,
but there was no organized movement of people who are using their power and their voice to speak up on their behalf and say, this is wrong. And I think about, just the opportunity that we're engaging in today, this dialogue around joining a court case. And I think about what it would have meant for their city to have had the opportunity to have the same conversation all those years ago. It might not have changed the actions of the federal government, but it would have really meant something to them and to all of their descendants. And so I invite you, as you enter your deliberations this afternoon, to consider that, we don't know what the outcome of the lawsuit is going to be, but the way that we speak and the decisions that you make today do matter. And they matter to people that you know in the city, people that you don't know, people that maybe aren't even born yet. But just the legacy of that I stand before you today, kind of embodying, I invite you to bring that into your deliberations this evening. Thank you for the chance to speak.
Good afternoon, and it's almost evening. I would like to ask that you join the ACLU lawsuit against illegal and unconstitutional ICE tactics. Many cities have joined and others are considering do so. Please do not say that doing so will not make a difference. It is something we can do. We need to speak up. My hope is that all cities, counties, states, and other groups speak out and join the lawsuit. We need to take action against this blatant disregard for the law and the Constitution. The court has issued an injunction against many of the tactics. An appeals court upheld that injunction. However, it's being ignored by ICE. We need to all have the courage and stand up to this and do all we can to stop it. I don't want to repeat what a lot of people have said because I have some other things. This issue has depressed me almost more than anything that's been happening. I can tell lots of stories. I was in shopping at Target behind this lovely, and I was racial profiling just based on how these people looked and the language they were speaking. It was a beautiful father and mother buying their little daughter this beautiful dress. And I envisioned that father or mother being deported. And I went to my car and I cried. And I thought, for what reason? For no reason at all. I was born with white skin. That's not better than brown skin, but I can walk down the street and I don't have to fear. What I'll have to tell you, I'm already conditioned to unmarked white vans. When I see them, they freak me out. Some of you up there are immigrants already, but those of you that aren't, I promise you, if I was born in a country and I could come here and make things better for my children, and you can't wait like 10, 15 years, you can bet I would come here illegally and come and try and help them and give them a better life. And I bet if you asked that, you would do it also. The sad part is our country has stopped the illegal way to get asylum or to become a citizen. They changed the rules and it's not right. I learned that a friend of mine who I had no idea confided in me that this person lost 75% of their income, afraid to go to work, wants to go to work because they need money to support the family.
Hi, my name is Azul, and I just graduated high school and I'm about to start college.
I'm a part of the Fullerton Police Explorer program. I entered with our Assemblywoman Sharon Quicksilva, and I volunteer in the community. I share that because public service matters to me. I believe in giving back and standing up for what's right. And I want to speak tonight because this issue is very personal for me. I grew up watching my mom work so hard, long hours, juggling everything just to give me opportunities. She's a hard-working mother, and I've seen firsthand how much sacrifice she goes into building a better life for just not me, but for the community. And I know she's not alone, so many families in our community are doing the same, working hard, raising their kids, and still living in fear. I know families who are scared every single day, and what breaks me the most is that even their little kids carry that fear. I've heard kids ask questions that no child should ever ask. Am I illegal? Are we safe? Kids who should only be worrying about cartoons or like going to soccer practice, and they're worried about their own family. That's what's wrong. It's not what this city or this country is supposed to be standing for. This lawsuit is about more than just politics. It's about dignity. It's about telling those families that they matter, that their kids deserve to grow up without fear. By joining this fight, our city can prove we are willing to stand with them, not just look the other way. I'm young. I'm only 17, but I believe in justice, and I want to believe that the leaders in my city, that I've grown up, that my parents have grown up, my sisters have grown up, my friends have grown up, that you guys could please just help and stand here with us. Please don't stay silent. Join the lawsuit. Show families like mine and the kids like the ones I know that you guys are willing to fight for them. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you for listening. My name is Antonio Luna, and I am married to a wonderful lady, Elsa Luna. We've been living in Fullerton for the last 20 years. We've been here for the last 50 years. I'm born in Mexico. I am from the state of Colima. And believe me, I came here in the 70s. But I'm begging you, I'm asking you to join the coalition. I came here in the 70s at age 8 years old, not because I wanted to, but because my father passed away. And my mother being so young, I was a member of 11 siblings. I was a number 8. And I came here with 2 sisters and 2 brothers, the older ones, barely 20, 21. And they all work at the city of Placentia and Fullerton in the Kool-Aid Company. And I went to elementary school in Anaheim, Abraham Lincoln. And then I went to Freeman Junior High, which exists no more. When I was about to go to high school, I came back home, and the manager knocked on the door, and she said, Tony, something terrible happened. Your family is no longer here. They all got deported. At age 14, ready to go to high school, my head spin like you have no idea. Please help us, because the same worry that I had in the 70s, when I was left alone with no family members, and people asking me, the manager, you're gonna go to a foster family, and you're gonna live with a foster family. Me not knowing, me being ignorant, I said, no, I got family, I belong. I got dignity. If I've been taken away, I'm not gonna see my family anymore. So what do? 2 jeans, 2 shirts, a pair of sneakers, and I live in the streets of Anaheim for 6 months. Eating from the trash cans, sleeping in carports, garages, and on, until one lovely lady, Maria, saw me and gave me a home. I'm asking you, we all came from a family of immigrants, and I know that I want peace in this city that I took as a home. And Fullerton is my home, and it's a beautiful home because you make it beautiful. I'm asking you, stand for our people. I serve as San Felipe Benice as a Catholic parish, but I'm a deacon of the Catholic Church, and I don't see colors. I serve everybody with love, and I believe in peace. But in order for me and for you to have peace, we need to fight for justice. And I know you can do it. I know that you can do it better than us. Please stand for us. Join the lawsuit. Thank you very much.
Okay. And if anybody else would like to line up to speak, now is your chance. Otherwise, we're going to go to the speakers in Zoom.
Good evening. I'm really emotional. I'm just gonna tell you two stories. You guys know, I know a lot of people, and 2 weeks ago, someone came to me and was telling me that her daughter was going to college. She wants to be media something. I'm sorry. And she was so scared of going. She stopped going to school for a whole week. Her parents kept begging her to go. And she was so afraid. And she called her teachers and said that she wasn't going to go anymore, that she was just going to quit. And they talked to her and they encouraged her to go back. And that's one story. Another one of my friends' daughter, I've seen her grow. She volunteers. She's a very good girl, and she just graduated from Cal State as a teacher, and she can't be a teacher. So it's just two stories that maybe for you guys are nothing, but for our community it's a lot. So please join this lawsuit. Thank you.
Buenas tardes. Vengo aquí, mi nombre es Pilar Maldonado y vengo aquí a suplicarles que nos ayuden. Nuestra comunidad está sufriendo.
Good evening. My name is Pilar Maldonado, and I'm here today begging you to help us. Our community is suffering.
No podemos estarnos escondiendo por más de 3 años y medio. Tenemos que salir a trabajar, nuestros hijos a la escuela, no podemos ir a los parques, a las tiendas.
We cannot hide for more than 3.5 years. We have to go to work. We have to take our kids to school. We have to be able to go to the parks.
Nosotros sabemos que ustedes están con nosotros, que tienen un buen corazón, que tienen familias y todos los días le pedimos a Dios que nos ayude, que no nos dejen solos en esto.
We know that you guys are with us, that you guys have good hearts, that you guys have families. And every day we pray to God for you guys not to leave us alone, to help us with this matter.
Por favor, ayúdennos. No podemos solos nosotros, pero también las personas que no están con nosotros, nuestros hijos pueden votar.
Please help us. We are not alone on this one, but also our kids, our family members, they're able to vote and to give and place their votes.
Y no es en contra de las personas, pero va a ser en contra de las, digamos, de las ordenanzas que saquen que estén en contra de nuestra comunidad, como lo hizo John King.
And their vote is not going to go against people, but more against the ordinances that and policies that go against our communities, just like John King did.
Muchas gracias. Espero que nos ayuden. Gracias.
Thank you very much, and I hope that you guys are able to help us. Thank you.
And that looks like it for people in chambers. Last chance. Let's go to Zoom. Dominic, you should be able to unmute.
All right. Oh, I saw the clock. Okay.
Hello, Council. My name is Dominic Moonhart. I live in District 3, just north of Cal State Fullerton. I wanted to express my support uh, on the lawsuit against Kristi Noem. Uh, a lot of people in public comment have said a lot of good things about it, so I will not bore you with that. But this lawsuit is defining for your careers and for our community. Our community needs this lawsuit because ICE agents, as mentioned earlier, are not following the Miranda rights laws, are covered in masks, and yes, they do look like cartels, and this also looks like a communist dictatorship. Uh, so with that, they're also the it's not just ICE people who are also doing this as well. The Federal Protective Service, which is also known as the Federal Police, along with the United States Marshals Service, is providing mutual aid and are also wearing these masks and are also violating certain Miranda rights laws as well. That is a misuse of the Federal Protective Service along with the United States Marshal Service. This is why federal court cases are not being heard right now, because there are not enough marshalmen or Federal Protective Service officers from protecting the courthouse to start court cases. And so I urge you, and I at this point beg you to please join this lawsuit like Anaheim did, like Santa Ana did, and most recently Costa Mesa. Thank you.
Next speaker, Shannon, you should be able to unmute.
Hello, good evening. I'm Cantor Shannon McGrady Bain, and Jewish clergy. I've lived in Fullerton since I was 9 years old, over 50 years. Richmond, Nicholas, and Fullerton High School, plus I've taken classes at both of the colleges. And I want you to know that the Jewish community stands with our immigrant neighbors. And I also want to give you some context that in the Hebrew Bible, which Christians call the Old Testament, in the Hebrew Bible, the most frequently stated commandment is to be kind to the stranger because you were strangers in the land of Egypt. And why is that said 36 times in the Hebrew Bible? Because it's easy to get complacent. It's easy when you are the one with power and comfort to ignore the pain and the suffering of those who need our support. And our immigrant neighbors are suffering. I worry for my employees. They're good, hardworking, honest women, and I worry for them. And I worry for all of our people of color, because anyone who's not white is in danger, whether or not they are U.S. citizens or legally here. It doesn't matter. Everybody is in danger, and we need to recognize this moment and meet the moment with courage and with justice. And I beg you, please, to let us be proud of our city and join this lawsuit. History is watching.
Next speaker, you should be able to unmute.
Lucinda, can you please up the volume?
It's
Hello,
already all the way up.
Up here in the back.
Go ahead, speaker.
Hello, good evening, City Council. My name is Davis Garcia, and I'm speaking in favor for the city's involvement in the litigation of Pedro Vasquez Perdomo v. Kristi Noem, as it is imperative that we take action to defend the civil liberties of all people in our communities. I, along with various other students at UCI, have friends, family, and neighbors who are afraid of being stopped, even though some may have proper identification. This is all happening in your city. The pervasiveness of ICE in our communities erodes our trust in the very governing agencies and councils that are meant to serve and protect such communities. This isn't a political issue, it's a civil rights abuse and a human rights issue. Thank you, and we demand that you take measures with proper transparency and public input moving forward.